You're listening to Success Stalkers Radio, episode 36, with CEO of Tyme Productions, Brian K. Bailey.
Hey everybody, this is Ian Floyd from the Love and Sensibility Podcast, and you're tuned into my girl Ioana Garrett on the Success Stalkers Radio Show.
Welcome to Success Stalkers Radio. I am your host, Ioana Garrett. People all over the globe are rewriting the rules to success. They're making money and changing the world. Join me Monday through Friday as I interview today's top entrepreneurs, business leaders, and entertainers that will leave you inspired to take action and achieve success on purpose. Are you ready? Let's dive right in. Okay, let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Success Stalkers Radio. I am your host, Ioana Garrett, and I am simply thrilled and excited to introduce my guest today, Mr. Brian K. Bailey. So Brian, are you ready to stalk success today?
Ioana, I am definitely ready to stalk success.
All right, good deal. Well, Maryland native Brian K. Bailey is a FitPreneur, wellness empowerment coach, and the president and CEO of Tyme Productions. With over 14 years experience in training and coaching others to succeed, he has inspired many people to achieve their optimum fitness level. Brian is also the author of The Mental Hurdle of Fitness Success System and the creator of Chairicizing, Get Fit While You Sit. He's a certified personal trainer and fitness specialist through the Cooper Institute. He is a former military bodybuilding champion and a Virginia Masters track and field champion. Brian is also a fitness contributor for eHow, and he has been featured in several wellness magazines. Brian has 25 years of service to his country as a retired member of the United States Air Force and Air National Guard. So Brian, I've given our listeners just a little overview about you, but I want you to take a minute. Tell us about you personally, because we want to get to know you first. Then give us an overview of your business.
Well, I want to start off by thanking you for that wonderful introduction. And I also want to slowly show your listeners how FitTime Productions was created. And one of the things that I like to let people know is that I am one of those out-of-the-box thinkers. So as we start around 1999 to 2000, this is when I became interested in fitness training. And it was actually more or less placed into my lap by my Air Force First Sergeant. See, at the time, she was looking for a fitness program to assist us in improving our fitness scores and overall wellness. And since she knew I was a workout buff and I was really into taking care of my health, I was asked to take the lead role in this mission.
Okay.
And this is something that's really interesting. Now, we had a 12-week fitness program that we looked at. We stormed over what we can do. So we crafted this workout to meet the needs of our Air Force, Air National Guard, and DoD civilians. And This program was called the Fitness Initiative Team, FIT for short. Now, I didn't realize Ioana at the time, but I was finding at that moment my passion, or as someone would say, discovering my purpose. Now, this program lasted for 12 weeks with breakout sessions every 4 weeks in order to readjust fire or address concerns. Now, each week, more and more amazing results were being discovered. I noticed everything from blood pressure numbers improving, better sleep patterns, improving self-esteem, cholesterol improvements, and of course, body fat and weight reduction. I was becoming what my first sergeant called an agent of change. After 12 weeks of success, it became from my military leadership that I was that guy. They started calling me names like B-Fit, which I still call myself today, and also Mr. Fitness. So over the next few years, I would help everyone from Airman First Class to GS level civilians to even Air Force generals improve their level of fitness. And when the Air Force stood up its physical training leader program, I was requested to be one of the first certified team members. Now, fast forward to 2005. This is when I began to realize two things. Number one, training and educating about fitness on a one-on-one basis was really not my thing because I wanted to reach as many people as I could with the most effective methods. Now, how was I to
Okay.
do that, Iona? The way that I created or crafted that was by starting my own fitness production company. So in 2005, Fit Time Production was born. Now, while my company is still a work in progress, it has helped many people with our CDs, our books, and our DVDs. Now, even though we formed 9 years ago, I still feel that we are just getting started.
I love that. That's awesome, Brian. Well, we're going to dive deeper into your journey
Okay.
and talk more about that in just a few minutes. But before we do, we always like to start off Success Stalkers Radio with a success quote to really get that motivational ball rolling. So take it away, Brian.
Great. Now, this is something that's near and dear to my heart, but it's kind of personal. But I want to share how I approach life with this success quote. Although I didn't realize it at the time, Iona, this quote, which states, "If it's to be, it's up to me," is my mantra for life. Now, in order for you to understand where I am now, and how I came up with this quote being so important, I want to go over a little bit on how this really helped me craft who I am today. Can I do that?
Okay, yeah, so please do.
Okay, so this gets kind of personal, and if I get choked up a little bit, that's because I really want to share this with you, but I want you to feel the impact.
I
So, so,
understand.
so,
That's
pi-
great.
so picture this. I'm 9 months, little baby, crying baby, 9 months.
Hmm.
I lost my beautiful mother, Kathleen Elizabeth Bailey, at this point in my life to uterine cancer at 9 months. Right now, although I was too young to realize the impact, I started to experience the effect as I grew older. You see, my mother has a older sister named Aline Roberts. Now, when my mother died, she made a commitment to raise me as her own. She gave me an excellent home environment with a loving family to the core. Now, Aunt Aline, who I now call mom, raised me as her own, but there was a hiccup along the way. So,
Okay.
around 1972, I was classified by Johns Hopkins University as hyperactive. Now, during this time, there were not a lot of studies on how to treat this issue. I still think it's an issue of just being a boy with a lot of activity, right?
Right,
you know,
right.
because I've seen little boys who go nonstop till they fall out. That's just what little
Yeah, me
boys
too.
do, and that was
Right.
me. That really was me. And so somebody along the way made an extra recommendation. They said that why don't you place little Brian into a foster home with a lot of kids his age? And so since my aunt didn't have any children under the age of 18 at the time, it made sense to her, I guess. So this is when I realized that I didn't have a choice in the matter, so I better learn to adapt. At that age, I
Right.
knew that if I wanted to get through this, I had to learn how to adapt. So I didn't know if it's to be, it's up to me, but I knew. You know what I mean? So at the
Yeah.
age of 7, I still remember this as vivid as it was back then. There was a man with a plaid shirt, the social worker, plaid shirt, tan pants, scuffed brown shoes. He took me um, from that home and we drove away in the Ford Maverick that he had to 2328 Aruna Avenue. This is the social worker that's taken me from my family's home to this new foster home.
Wow.
But you know what? I was received by this wonderful woman, the foster mother by the name of Annette Foster.
Okay.
She was my foster mom. And, the thing that was really funny, and this is called adapting, she looked at me and said, "How are you? My name is Annette. You can call me mom or Annette, however you want to do it. Do you want some chicken?" So, and so and so I looked at her, I looked at the chicken. I didn't look back at the social worker at all. And I immediately started to chow down.
Yes, indeed.
So and as a kid, that's all I knew. And again, I didn't know it at this time, but I was using my
Yeah.
mantra, if it's to be, it's up to me.
Wow.
I didn't cry. I don't remember fighting the
Okay.
process. All I know is I made the best of what cards I was
Yeah.
dealt with. And in 1976, it is a light at the end of the tunnel. In 1976, I came back home to my real family. And that, just sharing this with you guys, this was an early dose of my mantra, that saying has kept me, motivated me, and created the man that you're listening to
Wow.
today. I also teach that to my followers. If you want something bad, don't wait for someone to give it to you. Don't wait for a handout. Don't call on your mother, your sister, your brother, your uncle. You make it happen. You do the work to create your success. Now, one more addition to that mantra. Yes, if it's to be, it's up to me. But also know you need to be prepared in order to receive all your blessings. It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. I can't take the credit for that. I heard this wonderful speaker by the name of Les Brown speak those words, but still to this day, that gets me pumped
Oh
up
yeah,
every
me
time I
too.
hear
I
it.
love when he says that. That's awesome. What an amazing story, Brian. Wow. I felt like I was right there with you.
hmm Oh, well, I just had to share it. I wanted to make it personal so you can feel who I am, why I am the person I am today.
And I thank you for that because that's what we want here, for our guests to really make us feel like, we are going on this journey or we've been on the journey with you. So I appreciate that. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, also, Brian, here at Success Talkers Radio, we are all about the story, as I just mentioned, and your journey. So I know that you've already had quite an amazing journey, even as a child. That's awesome. But we want to focus first on a possible failure, or maybe say a challenge in your life that maybe you just fell flat on your face, or flat on your back, even. And I want you to take us there. And again, remember, this is a story, and then share a lesson that you learned from that failure.
Wow, you mentioned, falling on the face or falling on the back, and then and one thing that just popped into my mind is the great Willie Jolly when he says a setback is a setup for a
Oh
comeback.
yeah.
So I need to make sure everybody hears that right now. But I don't accept failure as a proper word to be referred in the dictionary. And as a matter of fact, I was speaking to an Army Sergeant first class last week, and he joked with me by saying he failed a spelling bee when he was young. And I was like, well, Sergeant, how did you fail a spelling bee? Because we was watching this Geico commercial. Did you know Pinocchio was a bad motivational speaker? So so Pinocchio's up there speaking. You have a lot of potential, and his nose starts getting big, right? So I said, hey, anybody here ever did a spelling bee? So Sergeant First Class told me, he said, hey, look, the facilitator asked me to spell failure. And he said, I don't know how to spell failure. So guess what? He lost. In other words, failure was not part of his vocabulary. Failure was not a word that he accepted at that time.
Hmm.
Now, he didn't really do a spelling bee, but that was a joke that he carries on to let people know that if you want to be successful, keep success at the forefront, and then failure, just it's there, but don't take it to heart.
Right.
It's a learning experience. So, with that said, I consider what most people call failure as little life's disappointments or life's little disappointments with lesson learned components. Let me
Okay.
repeat that. I want to make sure everybody gets that. I consider what most people call failure as life's little disappointments with a lesson learned component.
That's good.
Now, the best reflection I have for my disappointment in business was during a convention around 2006. Now, Iona, I, w- I just created this workshop that addressed how the mental component of weight loss and fitness is a determining factor when it comes to creating the success you deserve.
Yeah.
I was excited about this, and I just knew it was going to help so many people. And as I prepare for this opportunity to aid in my teaching, I mean, these
Hmm.
tools that I created was in my mind, it was a bombshell, and
Yeah.
I was so excited. So I created a book and some two CDs to sell. To between 3,000 to 5,000 people at the end of my presentation. This was a really big deal.
Hmm.
I shipped in boxes of product to Las Vegas at the Mandalay Bay. I even hired a staff to be placed on site to handle face-to-face sales and merchant account transactions.
Hmm.
We even had early projections where we saw us making between 75 to $100,000 on that weekend. And
Wow.
I knew we couldn't miss with those numbers. Everything was ready. I even called the merchant account and got my limits increased for that big weekend. I even, before I left, I went to this car dealership and I saw this amazing looking Mercedes Benz. And I remember telling the salesman, when I get back, I'm going to pay cash for that. 'Cause I knew what was about to happen, right?
Hmm.
Now, I get to Las Vegas. I'm at the Mandalay Bay, and immediately I was told that hey, there's going to be a meeting tomorrow, and I need you to attend. You and some of the other folks. So we go to the meeting, and the coordinator looked at me, and this is where my heart stopped when he started speaking. He told me that another speaker made a last minute decision to speak. And as a result, my time slot was now going to become his.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't compete with this guy. He was a world renowned speaker, best selling author, but talk about a deep sinking feeling in your gut.
I'm sure.
Oh my goodness. But there is a silver lining again. And I was given an opportunity to have a table in the product store. So we didn't sell as many copies as I projected, but at least I broke even against my price of the trip and the expenses occurred for creating the CDs and books. So basically, there was a lesson learned. You ready for it?
Yes.
Don't count your eggs before they hatch.
That's a good lesson. Wow, what a fascinating story. I can only imagine how, you must have felt when they delivered that news to you. But I'm glad that you were able to still see, like you said, the light at the end of the tunnel and break even at least. And, so yeah, definitely that's a great lesson learned. But but when we talk about failure, because you touched on this, failure is not really failure, because it's all in a matter of
Mhm.
perspective, how you look at it. But as entrepreneurs, we're going to experience those times. They have to happen. They have to.
That's
Got to
right.
expect it.
That's
Got to
right.
be ready. So let's move forward, Brian, because I want to transition to the other end of the spectrum, which is what we call the aha moment. Because just like you've had lessons that you've learned, say from a failure, you've also had some amazing ideas, and I've heard so many of them already, from you talking, and that I'm sure has helped you to become successful today. So tell us one, Brian, and remember this is a story. We want you to take us there with you and make us feel like we're right
Okay.
there, and then show us how you turn that aha moment into success.
Well, thank you. And I have to go back to my early days as the fitness guy, that
Mhm.
guy, and having my first sergeant recognize something in me by putting me up to the task of starting the fitness initiative team. I didn't see myself starting a transformation project at the time, but once the initial 12 weeks came to an end of, helping those people, the civilians,
Mhm.
the Air Force sergeants and airmen, I knew my passion was discovered. I now needed to stop selling everything from, and you're going to laugh when I say this. You ready?
Yes.
Selling everything from never run pantyhose to waterless car wash products on the
Mm,
side. And now it became a point in my life where I needed to focus on what I was placed on this earth to do.
okay.
So, aha. I bet you didn't know I sold pantyhose back then, did you?
No, I didn't have a clue.
They were guaranteed not to run or your money back.
Really?
So, yeah, but it's basically called doing whatever it takes, right?
Right,
So,
right.
I am so glad fitness found me what it did. And so, and look, before anyone asks you or asks me, I didn't have to model those pantyhose,
I
guys.
was
So,
wondering.
so I didn't have to model them, So, okay, let's move on because I'm having too much fun right now. Aha.
That's funny. That's funny. That is hilarious. Okay, so, well, Brian, let's shift the focus for a minute because I want to shine a spotlight on you.
Okay.
Can you share with me what is your proudest entrepreneurial moment?
Well, my proudest moment is creating my first product. A lot of times you in business, you put things out there, do out, you might call them, or your dreams or your goals. And it's like having a child. It's like your baby being born, or you say, okay, I'm going to do this. And when I created my first project, it was work, and that's kind of like you with the podcast.
Mhm.
It's work. You put all these things. You got to do probably 50 things to make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
But I tell you, when that thing is done, a tear roll down it will roll down your eye, and it's like you just start praising and thanking, and
Oh,
you know
yeah.
because you did it, you finished something. It's not where you start, it's where
Right.
you finish. So just being able to create a project, create a product, and see it through the finish, crossing the finish line, to me, that's worth being an entrepreneur, that's worth being in business.
Right, right. And I love that you said that because you're right. Creating this podcast was, oh my God, it was an undertaking. It really was. But I'm so thankful and so grateful that, I've been able to accomplish it. And, like you said, it takes about 50 different things to make it all come together. And that's so true. We sometimes can make things look like a duck gliding on water,
Mm,
but if you look underneath the water, you'll see his feet are just going 100 miles an
that's
hour,
right. That's right.
so I may make it look easy, but it's not that easy, I promise you. So yeah, but you do have to take time to be proud of your work. And so that's why we wanted to shine a spotlight on you, because as entrepreneurs, we don't always do that for ourselves, you know?
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. You're very, very welcome. Well, Brian, we're going to move forward. And, being an entrepreneur can sometimes be a roller coaster of emotions. You can be up today, you can be down tomorrow, or within the next 48 hours, you're just like, I'm ready to quit this
That's
thing, you
right.
know? So, so what do you do, Brian? Tell us how you keep your focus and keep that end result in mind.
The way that I stay focused is I make sure that I'm always put things in front of me that I need to do. Um, Life gets busy. Life gets challenging. So you have to have organization. You have to have guidance. I like to put together a things to do list daily. I have to see it. If I don't see it, I'm telling you, most of it won't get done. All of it might not get
Mhm.
done. There's some books, and I know, maybe we can talk about some of those books, but, books empower me. I would like to read a motivational book at least once a week. I'm not going to say every day because I get busy with so much stuff. There's
Mhm.
certain words. You don't have to read the whole book, but maybe it's certain things in chapters that just gives you more aha
Exactly.
moments, or creates a story, or a story was created that you resonate with that makes you want to get out and do the same thing or a similar thing. So that those two things, just that things to do list, along with having a maybe one book a week, that really motivates and gets you on the right track.
That's good. That's a great tip. And I like how you said, about how you actually read. Don't necessarily have to, read every single day, but in chunks, or just take certain parts out of that book, that can give you that, aha moment. Because I think I just had one when you said
That's right.
that. Yep, thank you. Duly noted. Well, because I know that you are a success stalker, Brian. And you know what? Let me just say this real quick, because, I have the privilege of knowing you for the last 5 years. And you were part of the original Success Stalkers website that we had a few years ago. And if you remember, do you remember
I
that?
remember that.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
I
were
do.
Success Stalker of the Month.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you for, just sticking with me throughout this time, because, it's been a journey, and I just wanted to say thank you just publicly,
Well,
because it means a lot.
well, it means a lot to me to watch what you do. You are changing lives. You remember early on in this show, I mentioned agent of change.
Hmm.
Well, that's you. You hold that title. The baton is now passed to you, and I'm here for you. And I'm just so proud of you, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate that, Brian. Well, again, I know because you are a success stalker. Can you tell us any new projects that you might be working on? Because, as entrepreneurs, we always have something we're cooking up. So, anything you're excited about that you're doing right now in your career?
I'm very excited about learning more about the power of the podcast. I've watched you make a difference using this tool, and I believe in the saying, success leaves clues. So
Hmm.
we're going to put together a podcast that's going to help people in the fitness community. We have some titles that we're going to announce once we get trademarked and copyrights, because this is huge. It's big. Like I said early on, I didn't want to just be a personal one-on-one trainer. I wanted to help as many people as possible. I mean, I wanted to take it
Right.
international, and the
Yeah, the
podcast.
masses.
Oh my goodness! And the
Absolutely.
podcast is definitely the way to do that. So look forward to hearing and seeing and just watching very shortly everything that I'm about to put together when it comes to podcasting. Again, success leaves clues. Now, another thing that I'm working on under the Fit Time Production label is two fitness books. Now, they're due out this year, and I know everyone's going to love it, because basically I'm all about educating and motivating, and
Hmm.
both the podcast and the books will do just that.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear that you're starting a podcast. I
Hmm.
am so excited about that, because I'm telling you, you could not be more right. Podcasting is so in this day and time. I mean, even 2014, they're saying that this is the year of the podcast. I don't know if
Mm,
you can remember a while back when not everybody had a website for their business. You remember that time?
I
When
remember that.
and that's why almost everybody who's serious about a business, they have a website. But now it's getting to a point now they're saying they're predicting that in the future, very, very near future, that if you don't have a podcast to go along with your business to help you promote and market your business, it's almost like you're not in business.
Wow.
And that's huge because we live in such a technological age now, and with all the things that's out there trying to get you to market to get more customers and reach more people, we just can't do it those old traditional ways anymore. And
Hmm.
this is the new way. I've been able to reach so many people with this podcast. I mean, we have thousands upon thousands of listeners now, and we're in 21 countries listening in just a matter of 6 weeks. So I'm really, really excited about that, and I hope that our listeners are really getting those numbers and listening to that, because podcasting is huge, and I'm so excited. I can't wait for you to get that off the ground, and I will definitely be following you, and can't wait to hear you on the radio.
Great, thank you. And I am so excited about podcasting as well. That's a success tool that's almost mandatory now for anyone who wants business
Oh yeah, if
success.
you're serious, most definitely, most definitely. Well, Brian, we have reached my favorite part of the interview, which is what we call the success round. So if you like to box, and I know so you're a fitness guy, so you
That's
like to
right. That's
box?
right.
You like to box?
Yes, I do.
All right,
Yes,
well
I
get your
do.
gloves. Let's
All
box.
right.
Well, what I want to do is I want to throw some questions at you, okay? Then I want you to come back at me with some knockout answers.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, good deal. All right, so what was it that held you back from becoming an entrepreneur before you started?
Hey, where's that bell? Ding ding.
No, right?
Well, I'm coining a phrase right now for everyone that's listening. Now, I'm a dual career entrepreneur, right? So, what I mean by that is I started my business while still enlisted in the military. I didn't have to go full out business, didn't have any money. I was a dual career entrepreneur. And that, with that in mind, I didn't have the stress of getting products released in order to feed my family or having the business reach a certain level before the landlord put a letter on my door. I'm pretty much that guy who goes to the pool. I don't know the temperature. It could be warm or bone chilling cold. Instead of sitting in fear, I walk to the deep end and I jump right in. After I get in the
Okay.
pool and doggy paddle for a while, I discovered that it's not that bad. So let's go have some fun. I'm not saying everyone should jump right into the deep end like I do with both feet, but sometimes it helps.
That's true. You're absolutely right. Well, Brian, what is the best business advice you've ever received?
Wow, that's amazing. A few years ago, I was having a WKM, and for those of you who don't know what WKM is, that stands for wall kicking moments.
That's a good one.
I had the opposite of the Midas touch. Everything I touched did not turn to gold. So, what
Mm.
happened to me next was called a pity party. This is not uncommon for entrepreneurs, as we are harder on ourselves than anyone else.
Oh
You
yes.
sit in the office, you start to question yourself. Am I on the right path? Should I have done it a little different? Well, this is why it's important to have an accountability partner. And mine at this time was a millionaire mentor by the name of Susan Sly. Now, Susan
Mhm.
told me this. She said, Brian, it's okay to have a pity party. It really is. But just remember these three words: just don't stay. In
Mm.
other words, take time to reevaluate
Mhm.
what happened, why it happened, how to improve it while moving forward. And I will never forget that principle, and it has served me greatly. I call that, Ayana, a true golden nugget.
That is a golden nugget, and I am taking that one to the bank. I like that. Because you're right. We are going to have those moments, and I agree with her. Yeah, I think it's okay to have a pity party, for a moment, and then just say, okay, I've done that. Now let me get up, dust myself off, and start over and keep
That's right.
going. And that's what we do. We constantly have those, as entrepreneurs. But if you talk to every successful, whether it's a millionaire, billionaire, or top corporate executive, we've all had those moments. You can't get away from them. You're gonna have them, but it's how what you do when you have
That's right.
them. So that's what really matters. So thank you for sharing
Never
that.
ever quit. Hmm.
Exactly, exactly. Well, can you share one of your daily personal habits, Brian, that you believe attributes to your success, something that you do on a daily basis?
Well, visualization. This is something I learned a long time ago, back during high school track and field, as an 800-meter runner. So this is what I used to do. I used to sit in the cafeteria with some of my teammates and
Hmm.
visualize myself running at certain times, at certain points at the track. Let me explain further. I will see myself running the first quarter mile in about 56 seconds and running the next quarter in about a minute. And anyone who's ran track, you would know exactly what I'm doing, exactly what I mean when I talk about the first quarter mile, second quarter mile, because an 800-meter race is 2 laps around the track,
Hmm.
right? So as a result, my time will be pretty close to what I saw in advance. Now, when I take time to see the thing I want to accomplish before I begin it, it opens up the lanes for it to appear as reality. Now, the big events that I've done over the last few years, whether it's putting on a fitness boot camp or speaking in front of large groups of people, I walked through what I was going to say or what moves I was going to accomplish. And as a result, it happens. Well, most of the time. But that's a great thing that I do as a personal habit that helps me remain successful.
Okay, that's great. I love that. That's awesome. Well, do you have an internet resource or, say, a business tool, Brian, that you can share with our listeners, something you
Oh,
use
oh
maybe to
yes,
build your
yes,
business?
yes. We hear it all the time. Business minded folks now believe they use they trust in social media, and basically social media has been my friend for the last few years. I've created a following that has joined me during teleconferences. They buy my success tools. Facebook, of course, like I just mentioned, is my favorite, and I'm just getting into the Instagram craze and Twitter. But to keep track of what I need to do, I talked about the thing to do list. I'm using an app on my phone called Evernote. And remember what I said, plan your work and make it plain. Plan your work.
Mhm.
And Evernote allows me to do that right on my phone. So wherever I'm at, I don't have to carry a big binder or a big book. The app is right on my phone.
That's great. I'm just discovering Evernote, and several of my past guests have mentioned Evernote, and just they rave over it. They absolutely love it, and I'm quickly falling in love with it myself.
I love it.
So yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, what book are can you recommend two books, Brian, to our listeners that can really help them?
Well, my favorite book, and you will always hear me talk about this. If you see me in person, I have this book with me. It's called The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. Now, here's a great quote from this book that I want to share as it stands out so much when it comes to my business, and I believe it will resonate with you as well, Iona. And here it is. It reads, never in the history of the world has there been such an abundant opportunity as there is now for a person who is willing to serve before trying to collect. Again, this is from my favorite book, guys. This is from The Law of Success. You got to get that book. That is so powerful. And I hope that this quote that I just read from that book resonates with you as well.
Oh my goodness, I love that. So that's just the one book,
That
right?
that's one book. And real quick, there was another book, and it was not really all about the book. It was about the author. There's a story behind this. Dottie Walters wrote this book called "Speak and Grow Rich." Dottie Walters, Speak and Grow Rich. Now, this book is a favorite of mine, not only because of the content, but because of that author, the wonderful Dottie Walters. And there's a section in the book where Dottie said, if you need assistance, contact me. And she got the email address. Well, I sent the email letting her know I loved her book. And as a result of reading her material, I wanted to be more than a fitness guy. She motivated me to do a little more. So I want to become a motivational speaker, a motivational fitness speaker, Dottie. Can you help me? So guess what? She sent me a message back with a phone number. And we ended up talking for 30 minutes or more during our initial call. And oh my goodness. And
Wow.
about three more times, we had 30-minute sessions for free. She didn't charge me
Oh
anything.
my goodness.
This is it. She was so excited that someone asked her for help from the book. Someone actually went to the book and said, "Hey, let me email you. This is who I am." Oh my goodness, she
Right,
showed me
right.
the importance of sharing your passion with the world through the power of speaking. That's what a book does. And it was a wonderful experience.
Yes, indeed.
It really was. And, when she passed on February 14th, sadly to say, 2007,
Hmm.
the president of
Yeah.
Walter Speaking
Okay.
Services sent me one final email from her company of the news, giving me the news of her passing. But, he left me with something that Napoleon Hill said to Dottie, and it reads this way. How does it, and this is
Okay.
Napoleon speaking to Dottie. And Napoleon said, Dottie, how does it feel to have blown a handful of inspirational stardust to the world?
Hmm.
Dottie, how does it feel to have blown a handful of inspirational stardust to the world? Iona, that's called leaving a legacy. That's called leaving a legacy.
That is so powerful. Oh my goodness. Brian, let's stay here for just a minute
Hmm.
because I really, really like what you did, by reaching out to her. And, a lot of times I've talked to so many successful people that say, they sometimes people won't approach me
Hmm.
because they think that I'm unapproachable or they're afraid to ask me for help when, I'm willing to help if they would only ask. And that's the thing. I think that, this is key for our listeners to take away this today, that just because you see someone successful doesn't mean that they won't help you. They, at some point in their life, they were where you are today.
That's right.
And if you don't ask, you won't get blessed, with their knowledge or with their experience. And, I thank God every day that I, ask my mentors for help.
Hmm.
And I just think that's so powerful that you had enough courage to reach out to her, when most people wouldn't do that. So I applaud you. I commend you for that. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you very
That is
much.
great. And thank you for, I love that whole, stardust, blowing stardust on the world. That is awesome. I love it.
She
Wow.
was amazing. She really was.
Now I got to get that book.
Yes.
Well, my last question in the success round,
Yeah.
Brian, is I want you to just relax for a moment and imagine that you woke up tomorrow morning in a brand new world, identical to Earth,
Hmm.
but you knew no one. You still have all of the experience and knowledge that you currently have today. Let's say your food is taken
Hmm.
care of, your shelter's taken care of, but all you have is a laptop and $500. What will you do in the next 7 days?
Oh, that's a knockout. I've always said, put me in the middle of a desert and I'll make something happen. So with my food and shelter intact, I take it. Well, I'm not going to be on the desert floor, so it's all good. So I think I can handle this.
Right.
So as I think about it, I know the power of networking. Yeah, I'm on a place just like Earth, but it's a new world. So I'll network on the first day because it's important to let people know who you are and find out a little bit about them, right?
Absolutely.
I remember learning this back in the early 90s, the concept of form, family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. So as I was meeting these people, I would keep that in mind and find out more about them. Family, occupation, recreation motivates them. Then I'll put something together that was cost effective for me to make or even do. So with me being a fitness guy, I would create an online fitness workout session, or better yet, a live workout session in a park. I'm assuming they would have a park at this new world. They would have to have some kind of grass or something. I'll make it a park, and they might say, "What's a park?" Well, this is a park right here. So the word was spread around about this new guy with all this energy who's helping us get in shape. You got to come see him. Come down and see this guy. He is, man, he's a beast. So before you know it, I'm impacting lives. I'm impacting lives in a brand new world. They need me,
Mhm.
and quite frankly, as the new guy, I need them. It's a match
Yes.
made for winners.
I love that answer. And I'm going to tell you why, Brian, because I asked that question to all of our guests. And I kid you not, all of your answers are not exactly the same,
Hmm.
but they're the same. They are the same. There's a reason why we asked that question. Because, I want our listeners to really understand, especially those who are either in business or thinking about starting a business, is that you have to put yourself in front of people.
That's
We're in
right.
the people business, and you have to network. And the only way for you to put yourself out there and for people to know what you're doing is you got to go out and be discovered. You got to go introduce yourself. You got to join networking groups and just be out and about. And so that's why we ask that question, because if you're on a brand new world, of course it's just like Earth. But if you no longer have your old business, but you still have all of your knowledge, you're starting over again. So that's what I want our listeners to see, to understand what should I be doing as a brand new entrepreneur or as an entrepreneur who's trying to take my business to the next level. So thank you for answering that, because that was a great answer.
Thank you.
Well, Brian, hearing your journey today has certainly been inspiring. And before we end, I would like for you to just do this. If you can, give our listeners one parting piece of advice and guidance, and then share the best about you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay, great. Well, parting advice from me is face fear head on. Plan your work, then work your plan. Make sure you're doing something that you're truly passionate about, and make sure it's not only about the money, it's about helping others. And one thing I want to pass on, I'm big on quotes, guys, so I want to pass this on today. And it's again from my favorite book. You know what the title is, The Law of Success. So think about this. If you're successful, remember that somewhere, sometime, someone gave you a lift of an idea that started you in the right direction. Remember also that you are indebted to life until you help some less fortunate person just as you were helped.
Love that. And how can they find you, Brian?
They can find me right now. I have a brand new Facebook page. I'm so excited about it. So it's facebook.com Be Fit with Brian. You can go there. Also, I have a twitter.com Be Fit with Brian as well. And if
Good.
you go on Instagram, look for me under the code Get Right Body.
Outstanding, outstanding. And what about your success system? That if anyone wants to, will the information be there as well for them if they want to purchase?
They could just make a comment to me. We're doing some great reconstruction right now on all of our websites. We're putting together some great information tools for you. But if they connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, I'll make sure that we'll make arrangements to get these
Or
products to them.
maybe email. I can put that on your show notes page as well.
Yes. Well, yeah, you can put the email on the page and then they can reach me that way. BeFitWithBrian@gmail.com. Now, the B is not BE, it's just the letter B. So BeFit with Brian@gmail.com.
Outstanding. Well, Brian, I know our listeners have gotten some great takeaways and nuggets from you today. I certainly have. But they can also find the links to everything that we've been chatting about today at successtalkradio.com/Brian K. Bailey. And it will all be there on your show notes page. So all those things we discussed today, your links, your information on how to find you, will be there. So, Brian, we just thank you for being generous with your time today and being so transparent. So we say thank you.
It's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
All right. And for everyone out there listening, thanks for tuning in. And until our next episode, keep stalking success. Well, that'll do it for another episode of Success Stalkers Radio. If you'd like to hear more from these inspiring entrepreneurs and entertainers, be sure to subscribe to the Success Stalkers Radio podcast on iTunes. And if you found value in this episode, give us a review, hopefully 5 stars. You may also visit us at successstalkers.com. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you.